A few minutes ago I sat down to do a video response to some atheist friends of mine who don't believe in God, And when I sat down to do it, set up all my equipment, God told me to stop. He told me not to answer them. Now, I don't know why he said that. I don't know what his thinking is, but he told me not to answer them. Maybe he'll reveal it in the future, but in the meantime, he gave me another message for someone out there. This message is for someone. And if you hear this message and you feel that this is for someone, please share it with them. Please forward it to them. If you hear this message and you feel that this message is powerful, please share it and comment. If you also have a testimony. A few years ago, my mother sat with me and she told me she had a confession. She said that she had tried everything in this world to abort me, but I wouldn't die. She explained the situation, and I understood her situation. She said at a very young age, she was like about 16, she got pregnant. She got pregnant for a man who soon after finding out that she was pregnant, he fled. A few years later, she found herself pregnant again for a different man. So by the time that she was pregnant with me, she was 24 years old, and she already had 2 children for 2 different men. And now there's all kinds of questions, What will I do? How will I support 3 children? And the worst part is she was pregnant for the 3rd time for a married man, my father. I was an outside child. So she had a decision to make. Do I make the right decision for my living children? Do I make the right decision for my future? I can't be pregnant again. She had a decision to make. Years later, what compounded this whole thing is that she also got a confession. She got a confession from her father. That was a very, very powerful confession. His confession was, on his deathbed, he had been amputated because of diabetes and he was dying. He told her, he said, I raped your mother. That is how you were born. Her mother was a young woman, had never had sex before, and she needed a ride home from work. And not many people in those days had cars. He offered her a ride home from work. Instead of him taking her home from work, he took her somewhere else, and he raped her, and she got pregnant with my mother. Of course, her mother didn't abort her. She gave her to her sister to raise. Therefore, I am the product of rape. My mother was the product of rape, and therefore I am the product of rape. Not only am I the product of rape, I am the product of a failed abortion. And I'm still here. Listen. A lot of people listening to this find themselves in the same situation today. They have a decision to make. They don't know how they're going to provide. They don't think they're ready. But listen, God is going to make a way. God will make a way. Many of you doubt God. You doubt that He's real. You don't believe. But listen, whatever you're going through, God is going to provide. God is going to make a way. Back to my mother's story. She had a decision to make. She decided to do what she could to get rid of me. It didn't work because I'm still here. I survived. Later my mother came to me and she said she's so proud of me. That same woman got to see that same child who she decided to get rid of. on TBN, ministering to millions of people. She got to see that same child who she was trying to get rid of before it was born on the Word Network, ministering to millions of people. That woman got to see that same child have his own TV show, his own radio show, and grow up to be an influential person in her country. That same child that she was going to abort. Listen, I had fought for the Sea Hauler victims. That was a crash that happened in the Bahamas, and it left a lot of people, dead and injured, and people were suffering, and there were children left behind, and they couldn't get any help. No one would help them. And I decided to jump in and fight for these people to get what was theirs. And, a lot of these people didn't thank me, but of course, that's neither here nor there. I'm going to get my reward in heaven. But one of them came back to me, and he said, Lincoln, I want to thank you. He said, because if it wasn't for you, I don't know where I would be right now. Now, this young man had lost his wife in that crash. He had lost his leg. He was left, in a bad situation, almost crippled. And, his wife had 6 children. Who was going to care for these people? Who was going to take care of these children? He came to me. He had left some money in my store. And he called me and he said, listen, he left $300 in my store, not any real money. But that wasn't important. What was important was he said, listen, I want to thank you because I don't know where I would have been. When he thanked me, I didn't even think about his gratefulness. I didn't think about anything else. I didn't think about the fact of, God was using me to be a vessel. What I thought about was that many years ago, a young woman was raped. And she could have aborted her child. And if she had aborted her child would not have been born. Her child was born. Her child got pregnant at an early age. And her child decided to abort her child, which was me. The abortion failed. I was born. You know the rest of the story. Listen. Every single soul that lives on this earth is for a purpose. There are no mistakes. I'm an outside child, but there are no mistakes. You are not a mistake. Someone listen to this. You are not a mistake. 500 million sperm were racing toward your mother's egg. God chose you. You were a survivor from day one. Before day one, you were a survivor. God put a survivor, a champion inside of you. What are you going to do? So if you feel that this message for someone that you know, pass the message. God never fails, God provides, and God protects. In the end, my mother told me that she said, you are alive for a purpose. She said, fulfill that purpose. She said, nothing that I could have done would have stopped you because you are here for a purpose. Fulfill it. And I want to say the same thing to you. You are here for a purpose. Maybe today you're a young woman pregnant and there's someone in you and you have a decision to make. That someone is here for a purpose. Can you imagine if Barack Obama's mother had aborted him? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Dr. Miles Monroe's mother had aborted him? There's purpose within you. There's purpose inside you. And it's time to fulfill it. This video is to give God all the honor.